We love a good celebration. Well, most of us love a good celebration. The joy challenged among us will channel our inner Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, but the rest of us love a good celebration. I love a good celebration. There's something about a crowd cheering, voices raised in unison, arms waving in the air, confetti falling down. These are the moments that feel full of possibility, when the air buzzes with hope and you can almost believe that everything is going to change. Palm Sunday has that kind of energy. It's one of the few moments in the Gospels where Jesus is welcomed and praised and even treated like royalty. And we see people tossing their cloaks at the feet of Jesus as they shout, "Blessed is the King." And for once, the mood isn't tense or skeptical or afraid. It's joyful. They see something in Jesus that fills them with expectation. As Jesus marches in on a donkey, they think, this is the one. This is the one who will save us. It's like rolling out a red carpet. Celebrities at a movie premiere step into that bright strip of fabric to the sound of camera shutters clicking and the fans screaming. And whether we agree with the sentiment or not, it says, this person matters. Pay attention. In Jesus' day, they didn't have red carpets, but they had cloaks. And in Luke's telling, people throw these cloaks down on the road in front of him. It's their way of saying, he matters. Pay attention. But there's something strange about Luke's version of this day. If you're expecting palm branches, you need to head on over to John's gospel. It is with no loss of irony that today, on Palm Sunday, there are no palms in Luke's gospel. No children lining the road either. No festive songs, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. If you're expecting shouts of Hosanna, you won't find them here. You'll need to go to the other Gospels for that. In fact, the only mention of children in this chapter is right after today's passage, when Jesus breaks down in tears over Jerusalem, lamenting the destruction to come and the children who are caught up in that destruction. If we strip away the expectations that we come with today, we can look at Luke's gospel differently. Luke's version of it seems a little edgier to me. And it seems that not everyone is willing to join in the celebration. That's the tension running through the scene in Luke. Jesus is on the move. He's riding into Jerusalem surrounded by a crowd of disciples that's caught up in joy and praise, and their cloaks are spread out on the road. Jesus makes his way down the road, and one by one, the people in the crowd take off their cloaks and lay them down as this procession makes its way to Jerusalem. And they shout, they cry out, "Blessed is the King." The other Gospels say, "Blessed is the one." Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Edgier. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven. These people name peace and glory loud and clear. It is what they hope for. The crowd shouts, the disciples cheer. And Luke lets us feel the joy of the crowd, but he also lets us feel this tension. Something deeper is happening here, something unsettling. The kind of moment where you realize that not everyone sees what you see, that not everyone wants what you hope for. In the middle of it all, the Pharisees tell Jesus to stop. Some Pharisees in the crowd try to shut it down. "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." And they say, "Tell your followers to quiet down. This is too much." And right away, we know not everyone is celebrating, not everyone is ready to throw down their cloak and welcome Jesus in. Maybe we chalk it up to grumpiness or control, but I think there might be something more going on here. They're afraid. They might be afraid of what this parade might become, but they're also afraid of what the Romans might do if this scene gets out of hand. Afraid of what Pontius Pilate might do if he should learn of this parade. Afraid of what it means to honor someone like Jesus, someone who doesn't play by the rules, someone who turns power upside down. Afraid of what they might lose if they let this moment go too far. Because laying something down, like a cloak, or your pride, or your fear, means surrender. It means acknowledging who Jesus really is, and the Pharisees can't or won't do it. They cling to what they know, to safety, to status, to control, even as salvation rides right past them. And not everyone wanted to be part of the parade. Not everyone can lay something down for Jesus. And we fast forward to today, and not much has changed. There's still a whole lot of fear wrapped up in how we respond to Jesus. Still plenty of resistance to letting go. Even as we sit here in the pews, it's hard to let go. It's hard to lay down the things in this world that we find comfort in. Hard to lay things down at the feet of Jesus. There is something in us that wants to hold on tight to what we know. Our routines, our reputations, our control. We know what it feels like to see something holy and hesitate. To feel the tug of grace and flinch. To hear the invitation of Jesus and do the math. What will it cost me? What will I lose? Because laying something down, even now, isn't very easy. Sometimes it's pride that we can't let go of, or our certainty, or the comfort of thinking that we've got everything figured out. We've built lives around being right about our choices, our beliefs, our view of the world. We've crafted identities around competence and control. And the idea of surrendering that, of saying, maybe I don't know everything, it feels like something's unraveling, like giving up too much that makes us us. So instead, we hold on to that cloak. And sometimes it's fear. Not the kind that screams, but the quiet kind that keeps us second-guessing. The fear of how others might see us if we really followed Jesus, if we spoke with compassion instead of certainty, if we lived generously instead of safely, if we trusted the path of grace more than the systems of success. That kind of fear can keep us locked in place, respectable and reasonable, cautious, but never fully free. And instead, we hold on to our cloak. And sometimes it's just plain weariness, that soul deep exhaustion. We've been carrying so much for so long and so many different things, the grief and the pressure and the expectations, the worry. And it takes all of our strength to just make it through the day. And this Jesus comes along asking us to lay something down, to risk one more thing, to trust again. And everything in us wants to say, I don't have it in me. Even when we know, deep down. That laying it down might be the very thing that lets us breathe again. It might be the beginning of healing. It might be the doorway to peace. And instead, we just stand there, hanging onto our cloak. And all the while, the world just keeps on telling us that control is safety, that if we can just manage every outcome, anticipate every problem, secure every plan, we'll be okay. And we'll double down on our opinions. We'll insulate ourselves with people who agree with us. We build walls around our heart, and then we call it all wisdom. And we're standing there, hanging onto our cloak. And the world tells us that if we just hold on tight enough, we won't lose what matters. The success, the power, the self-sufficiency, they're the things that will really protect us. And the world tells us that the strong survive, that the loudest win, and the best defense is to never show weakness. It tells us that we're only as worthy as what we produce, only as loved as what we achieve. And we just hold on to our cloak. And those are just a few of the lies the Pharisees bought, and it's still on sale for us today. What is your cloak? What is it that you're holding on to? It might be the most important thing you do today, at least for the rest of this service, is to be able to answer that question. Take the rest of the service. Take the rest of the day. Figure that out. What is the one thing that you need to toss at Jesus' feet? As we hold on to our cloaks, we just stand there missing the parade, missing the one who brings peace, missing the king who rides right into the middle of our mess, not with force or fear, but with love. And into that noise rides Jesus on a borrowed donkey, no less, surrounded by a ragtag crowd offering not control, but surrender. Not power, but peace. Not certainty, but love. A love that asks us to lay something down. A love that dares to say, you don't have to hold it all together. And the world pushes back, and it pushes back hard. Because what Jesus offers threatens the whole system, threatens our illusions of safety and success, and threatens the idea that we can save ourselves if we just try hard enough. And still, Jesus rides on through the cheering, through the misunderstandings, through the misplaced hopes and the fearful resistance, through a city that doesn't know what makes for peace. Jesus rides on, not to claim a throne, but to carry a cross, not to raise a sword, but to lay one's life down. And in the middle of it all, the crowd is shouting, loud and hopeful, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." And then someone says, "Make them stop." And then Jesus says, even if they were silent, the stones would cry out, because this moment cannot be contained, because the truth cannot be hushed, because the love that's coming into this world will not be silenced, and even the stones know it. Maybe the invitation this week is to walk that road that Jesus walks, to move with him through the story as it unfolds this week. Because love isn't confined to one moment, because it doesn't end with palms and hosannas. It bends low to wash feet. It breaks bread and pours wine, and it bleeds, and it dies. And only then does it rise again. So come. Come to the table on Thursday. Come to the cross on Friday. Come and witness the whole story. Because when we do, we don't just celebrate the ending, we're transformed by the journey. And even when our praise falters, even when our understanding is limited, even when our voices grow quiet, and we stand there holding our cloaks, God's presence still moves. God's love still speaks. And somewhere, somehow, the stones cry out. When the cheers faded and the disciples fled, when the powers that thought they had finally shut it all down, the stones cried out as the sky went dark and the earth shook. The temple curtain was torn in two, and the tomb was sealed shut and then broken open. And the stones cried out in praise of the one who died with love on his lips. And even in death, even in silence, even in surrender, the gospel will not be stopped. Grace will find a way. Hope will break through. The silence and the stones will not be silenced. Thanks be to God. Amen.